Yeah. Okay, good morning and welcome. To start off our day, we have a Board of Equalization of Utah County meeting this morning. We have 3 items on our regular agenda. With the absence of an additional board member, I will suspend the rules for this meeting, allowing me to second motions. We will start with regular agenda item number 1, which is to approve the Board of Equalization Assessor approved report. Any questions on that?
Nope.
Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the Board of Equalization Assessor approved review process report as stated number 1.
I will second that. All those in favor of approving the regular agenda item number 1, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion will carry 2-0. Next, we have to approve or deny a petition on equalization appeal for property valuation after a filing deadline. Bart, do you want to update us on this one?
Sure. Bert Harvey, Tax Administration. This first one, the property owner listed in their statement that they basically did not file on time because of an issue with how the valuation notice was addressed to them, and caused confusion on their part, and therefore they missed the deadline. I was able to kind of verify what they stated by looking at the county records. Their property is addressed uniquely. They own the property jointly with their parents, and for some reason we had the parents listed on the valuation notice first as the owners, although the 2 individuals who filed the appeal, who actually occupy the home, were listed first on the deed. I talked to the recorder's office. We're not exactly sure why that happened, but owing to the circumstances, we feel it's appropriate to go ahead and allow this appeal to move forward at this time.
Okay. Any additional questions? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the petition as stated number 2 on our regular agenda.
I will second. I have a motion and a second to approve regular agenda item number 2. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion will carry 2-0. Next up, we have a motion to, an agenda item to approve or deny a petition to the Board of Equalization of property valuation after the filing deadline. Again, we'll let the staff report on this one.
Okay. This is another one that where there was some confusion on the part of the appellant when they filed the appeal. They've been working, so there's a large number of parcels that's owned by Patterson Construction, and they been working with the assessor's office on working out the values on that. And the individual who coordinates this for Patterson Construction thought they had filed the appeal correctly, and turns out they hadn't. Went on vacation, tried to get a hold of them. Anyways, by the time they finally did get the applications in, it was after the filing deadline, so we asked them to file a late petition. We do recommend approval on this one. Feel like the circumstances warranted.
Perfect. Any additional questions? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the petition as stated number 3 on our regular agenda.
I'll second. I have a motion and a second to approve regular agenda item number 3. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion will carry 2-0. And I'll consider one last motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion will carry 2-0. We stand adjourned. We'll now go ahead, as soon as we get the recordings switched over, and move to our commission meeting. Okay. Sounds like we'll have just a couple-minute delay as we create the appropriate amount of storage space for our live streaming. In the meantime, if anyone wants to sing or do a dance, we'd welcome entertainment. So, if there's any volunteers. I see a couple. Richard, you could come share deer hunting stories for Pat to get us all excited for the deer hunt that starts this weekend. Ah, Is that, you're supposed to, that's good, 2 days. That could be entertaining. I was really waiting for Commissioner Lee to sing, but
If only. Not one of my talents. It could be in a developing stage, right?
that's right, it's developing. And I got kicked out of the church choir, so
That's hard to do.
that's really hard to do. They said anyone was welcome until I came, and then they changed their stance. Okay, looks like we've got that space freed up, and we're now ready to start our Board of County Commissioners meeting for today, October 16th. We appreciate your attendance with us. We'd like to begin our meeting with a prayer, reading, or thought, along with the Pledge of Allegiance, and look to those who are participating with us to volunteer. Are there any who would be willing to offer a prayer, reading, or thought, or lead us in the pledge today? Not seeing any. Oh, who we got? Perfect. Pledge.
And I will be prayer.
Thank you. Come on up.
Our dear Father in heaven, we are grateful for this day that we are able to gather, discuss the needs of the county. We ask a blessing upon us and upon our Board of County Commissioners that they might be guided and inspired to best serve the needs of the residents of this county. And we say this in the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Please repeat after me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, to start off with today, we do have a public hearing. This public hearing is to consider the disposal of a significant parcel of real property consisting of 6.42 acres and located at 1050 South, 500 East in American Fork, Utah. Richard, you want to just basically run us through this briefly, and then we'll open it for public comment.
Richard Nilsson, Public Works. This parcel of ground was purchased by the county about 10 or 11 years ago with the intent of building a North County satellite health department facility on. In the years since then, we've kind of readdressed some of the situation that we have with needs in the north end of the county. The health department currently has a leased space out there that they're using. The county has recently acquired some additional property in the Saratoga Springs, Lehigh area, down near the Jordan River, a much larger site that we can consolidate any future county needs in the north end on one campus. So with that, we're looking at surplusing this piece of property. It's just off of the 5th East American Fork interchange, just west of where all the car dealerships are, between the freeway and the railroad tracks. I think that's anything else, Rob, that or Ralph? Okay. Any other questions for me?
Nope. Okay, we will open it for public comment at this time. Are there any who wish to address the sale of this piece of property? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
I will second. Again, I will suspend the rules for this meeting given the absence of a second commissioner. Seconding the motion to close the public hearing, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. I will stand closed. We'll now go through the process of building our agenda. All items will be considered moved to consent unless held for further discussion. Currently on our consent agenda itself, we have 20 items. Commissioner Lee, did you have any of those you wish to have further discussion on?
I would like to table number 9 and number 17.
Okay, that looks great. Any additionals?
Nope.
Seeing none, those will remain on consent with 9 and 17 to be tabled. Moving to our regular agenda outside of our closed meetings, we had 11 items. I have item number 10 as needing continued due to lack of documentation.
Files broke. The
link's broken.
We don't see anything.
So, yeah, the link's not working on it for some reason.
I apologize for that. If you want me to address it, I could before you continue it.
Is it time sensitive, or will it be fine for next week?
Well, I'll let Ralph address that. I think this is the one on the time tracking.
Right.
The sooner we get it in, the sooner we can get started.
Okay.
We actually have a savings, and it became a change order as opposed to a whole new contract. We ended up saving $3,000 as well.
Ralph, do you maybe want to address that? Is there a time-sensitive nature on that, or?
Could we table that so that we could get maybe some hard copies?
Yep, that was going to be my thought. I would be great with doing that.
I'll make a motion that we table that then.
Okay, I would second that. All those in favor of tabling regular agenda item number 10, please say aye.
Aye?
Aye, that will be tabled. There was also additional questions for me on regular agenda item number 2. We would need to hold and discuss, considering some documents on that. I have number 3 for discussion, and that was it.
Could we also hold number 1, 4, and 5?
Yes. Okay. The rest will be moved to consent. Are there any general comments to those items that have been moved to consent? Seeing none, we'll move then to regular agenda item number 1. This is looking at property tax actions contained in recommendation letter 2018-14. Commissioner Lee.
Okay. It's loading. I'm going to get there to that document. That's a large one. The first one I'd like to look at is the startup group, the LLC.
9195-3.
No, sorry, that one is on to deny.
Let me address the startup.
No, sorry,
Oh, okay.
that one is actually recommended to deny, and that's what I was also going to recommend. The next one then is the Kenny Sung Construction. If you could address that one. That one is, the recommendation is to deny.
Did you say Kenny Sang Construction?
Sang, yeah, Kenny Sang Construction.
Yeah, so basically they were late on their payment. He does claim they did not receive the statement in the mail. Our records indicate that we mailed it to them timely. He is asking for relief from the interest.
Right. I was a little confused on the treasurer's recommendation. It says granted based off of previous history. I'm not sure exactly what they meant by that. So that was one of the reasons why I had a little bit of a pause as I was looking at it, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I saw that too. I wasn't quite sure what the treasurer's office was recommending there. I presume they've had a good history of paying their taxes on time. In their letter, they comment that they had 2 tax payments due at this time, and they paid one on time and one late.
Right.
Again, they claim they didn't get it in the mail. Our records indicate that we mailed it to them. Don't know if they lost it at their office or if perhaps maybe they really didn't get it. But there was no error on our part as far as I could tell.
Right,
So I
yeah.
recommended to deny it. But
I'd like us to consider waiving the interest. I think was it just interest? I can't remember. Just interest. There was no
Just
penalty.
interest.
There's no penalty attached to it. I'd like us to consider that.
Mhm.
The second one is the Berry. Let's see. Let me get to it. Is it Lynette? I can't remember. I'm trying to get to it now. Barry, Lynette.
Crockett, Barry and Lynette Crockett.
Yep. And my question on that one is, after I reading through the report on that, is that for a indigent abatement, is there a certain file or a folder that we have to go through, or an application that we have to go through, or does this suffice for us to be able to make some sort of?
Yeah, so in this case,
1347.
they actually did file for their abatement, and they were awarded the abatement. But the abatement that they qualify for was not a full tax abatement. The only thing, if I can remember correctly, the only thing they're available to receive under the abatement is an abatement of half the tax, and they received that. So the county's already forgiven half the tax due under the abatement program, and so that was the reason for my recommendation to deny, is that we've already given them the full abatement under statute. Granted, the commissioners can
Give that full abatement.
yeah.
I believe their story, and I think that the fact that we gave them at least up to what the law has on the abatement. Sorry, I'm still trying to get there to it. It's down at the bottom, right?
It's the last one.
It's the last
Oh,
one.
it's the last one? No wonder why I can't. They detailed out in great detail exactly what they get, what they're getting in the way of income off that disability, that cancer. Both of them have been through, and I have a hard time trying to tax somebody out of their home. I don't think that's right to do. And I feel like we're teetering on this one.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. They've stated some significant hardship, certainly.
So I'd hopefully would consider that one. I'd like to consider that one as maybe a full abatement. And then last, we have got to talk about our process of acquiring property that has Greenbelt status on it. Utah County acquires property, and then we don't pay the rollback tax on it. That is extremely bothersome to me, because anybody else who comes in here, they have to go through all the hoops, and it just, we have a number of those that are on here. And this time there was a whole bunch of documentation that went along with that, talking about that, in essence, as I read down through it, that we, although we can, that the, see, I'm going to get to, this is section 59(2). If a governmental entity acquires land subject to assessment under this part title to the land, may not pass to the governmental entity until the following are paid to the county treasurer. Any tax due under this part, and Greenbelt is a lien on the property, and it's one, it does say any one-time in lieu fee payments due under this part, and any interest due under this part. And that's what we have in statute. So it bothers me that we're looking at properties in which we acquire or pick up even for $1 for road adjustments or road alignments, and then the Greenbelt tax is not paid.
And I see where you're coming from. Certainly, I agree. I think we need to try to get that covered at closing. I think as much as possible, we ought to try to make the property owners pay that before transfer. I do also think that as the county commissioners, you have the ability to waive that, and then there would be no tax due under that part, and then property can transfer without the payment. So it depends how the county commissioners and the county want to structure these transfers.
And I thought we had we had some clarity in that last time. Last time we were encouraging that this not happen again, and here we are again. So I'm confused at how this happens.
I don't have any answers for you myself. I was unaware of the transfers of these properties until I received these requests.
Yeah, I'm not blaming you.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I'm just stating
Yeah.
what has happened. Yeah. Well, Commissioner, what's your, it's a catch-22 on the thing. We pay the rollback taxes with taxes. I get that too. Jeez. It was just the principle of it for me that I'm struggling with on it.
On this particular action, I'm not sure, obviously, there's what we could do necessarily. I think we need to somehow figure out how to clean up the front end of it.
Yeah.
Is my thought.
That's right. I think you're right. I think that's the best approach is to,
And so on this one, I don't know necessarily that there's a lot to do, other than we need to make sure in a timely manner that we address some type of policy or procedure change within the county that fixes it on the front end.
So where does this, how does this come about? Is it Public Works? Richard, are you the one that works through these?
Just looking quickly at the top one that's on the list, the parcel 25290041. That is a road section out in the Leland area, and there's another one I believe that's on the west side of the same parcel that was actually brought to the commission in 2016 or 2017 by the county surveyor's office. They had a request by the landowner to get some property that was in the roadway off of their tax liabilities. I don't know what the process was because I was not involved in that one specifically. Typically, if we go out and purchase property for road right-of-way, we do include the rollback taxes as part of that property transaction. And Commissioner Lee, to your comment on trying to correct these from the last conversation, these were actually in place before that last conversation was had. So, and there may be others that I'm not
Makes
aware
me
of
feel
that
better.
that are out there. Yeah, we are actively trying to address those on any future purchases that we do. But typically they do go through my office, but not always. So we are trying to watch for those.
Do we have a list of how many of these are still out there?
I don't. We could probably find one, but it would be, the number of parcels the county owns are numerous. We'd have to work with the recorder's office and make sure that, like all of these little road parcels like this, we could look at and see which ones are outstanding, but I don't have that readily available.
And so if we didn't grant this, then we'd just pay it. I can't remember what the total amount is. There's what, 3 of them, 2 of them, 3 of them?
I think there's 4 of them.
Four of them?
On the letter.
No, one's like $880, if I remember correctly. I was looking at that one specifically, but
one's about $300. One's almost $1,000. One here's almost 14,000. And one is 1,700.
And on the 14,000 one, that is parcel 24003049. That's a parcel that we purchased at down near the jail. There's 4 parcels north of the jail that the county owns. That is one of those 4 parcels. We bought it in 2014, but we've still been, the taxes that are showing delinquent, there are property taxes since 2014, since the county has owned it. So we should not be charged property tax on property the county owns.
Oh,
That's the $14,000 one.
Oh, yeah, I didn't look at that issue there. Certainly we're tax exempt.
The problem there is under the statute, ownership doesn't transfer until that's paid. So technically, has not been a transfer yet. That's the reason for that number.
Why we're still being charged taxes each subsequent year?
We don't own it until those taxes have
The
been
rollback
paid.
is satisfied.
Is there a rollback on that one? That was one we probably need to look at, 'cause that went through the title company.
So,
and
so
it
Dave,
should've
for
been-
clarification, then once the rollback is paid, would the other be,
This
the other would be
accruing new
waived and
tax.
it'd fall under our tax exempt status based on the purchase date?
The abatement would be for the total amount and then
That's what I'll look
by
at.
the ownership.
Perhaps you could pull the parcel 24-003-0049, and we could take a look at that one.
Okay, we can hold and pull that one.
Or you can continue all of it if you want.
That should have been taken care of with title company, like the other three were involved.
Yeah.
so what do we have in place right now going forward? Looks like the surveyor, I see a number of letters saying that, you know, I mean, whenever it comes on our agenda, should we have something on there that says that, all the green belt and all the taxes and interests have been taken care of? Should we do that in the future? So
I
that,
think that would be a good thing, so that if there's ones that the landowner just saying, hey, I want to get these off my tax rolls, that's fine, but the green belt taxes should be paid prior to that, so that the county doesn't have a tax liability for it.
So what I have from this one is to hold parcel 24-003-0049, waive interest on 87-34-5, and full abatement on the Barry and Lynette Crockett parcel. These notes.
okay, oh yeah,
Is that?
I hate that, but I hate that one where we're doing it. It just seems counter to what we're asking others to do. But since it's before,
I
we're stopping that process, and we've had these for,
think we have the fix in
4
place.
years.
Unfortunately, this has
yeah,
come before we put the fix in place.
okay. So with that, do you have that written down so you know what we're doing? Or whoever needs to write that down?
Yes.
I don't have that parcel number, it's 24-something-003.
24-003-0049.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we approve the property tax actions as contained with the exception of granting the Kenny Singh construction and the Barry and Linnell Crockett with a full abatement, and also pulling 24-003-0049.
I'll second that motion. I have a motion and a second to approve regular agenda item 1 with the noted changes. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye?
Motion will carry 2-0. Right. Next, I have regular agenda number 2. There were some questions. There was never a final letter uploaded to the system.
Okay, this is Paul Jones with the County Attorney's Office. I uploaded that letter minutes before the meeting. Renee, is it there? Okay, I guess it is there. We had our grandma appeal hearing last week, and it just, it takes that long to get these things decided.
And this was a long one.
And this was a long one, and there are a number of different categories of documents, and so it was pretty complicated. I will just mention for the record, I've been in communication with Commissioner Graves, and he has represented that he's in support of this decision. I know Commissioner Ivy wasn't able to listen into that hearing. And then it's my understanding that Commissioner Lee's in support of this decision.
I'm just looking down through the conversations that we had on it. The fee waiver, I don't see that right off.
It's at the very bottom in the last paragraph.
Oh, okay.
Well, second to last paragraph.
I'm fine with it.
And then via our discussions and reviewing the case and looking through this, I am in agreement with what's been reached there, even though I wasn't able to participate in the hearing, so. Okay, with no additional questions, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve and enter a decision on the grandma appeal filed by Lyle Fletcher as stated and documented in item number 2 on our regular agenda.
I will second that. All those in favor of approving regular agenda item number 2, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion will carry 2-0. Next up, we have regular agenda item number 3. This is to look at approving or denying an ordinance to amend the official county zone map from mining and grazing zone to the G1 zone for the listed property locations in section 33. Bryce.
Bryce Armstrong, Community Development Staff. So this is a rezone application submitted by Saratoga Springs City to rezone approximately 16,400 acres, give or take, in the West Lake Mountain area. The current zoning is mining and grazing, and the proposed zoning is requested to be grazing, the new G1 zone that the commission created last year. I've uploaded a number of documents from the application to kind of give you an idea of where and what we're talking about. I think there's also a couple letters that were submitted, one from the BLM and also one from SITLA. Late in the afternoon yesterday, I received an additional letter from SITLA. I don't know if you had received that. I got some hard copies for you. Their original letter indicated opposition to the SITLA properties being included in the rezone. The new letter, let me just approach you and give you a copy.
Thank you.
The new letter indicates that since our September public hearing meeting at the Planning Commission, SITLA has met with Saratoga Springs City representatives and kind of looked at some long-term plans of the area, and have indicated in that letter that perhaps certain parcels they would not be opposed to be included. I believe there's some representatives from SITLA here that kind of talk about which parcels that they're addressing. In addition to that, we did have several, I guess to back up a little bit, so the majority of the property contemplated under this rezone is state or federal properties. There are private properties included. If there's an exhibit that Saratoga Springs presented in the attachments that identify all the properties by ownership, so you can kind of see which parcels are which. It looks like they've made an attempt to exclude what they term existing mining rights. There are a number of existing operations on Lake Mountain. This is an area that has been historically zoned for mining and grazing, mining operations. Obviously, there are product located in these areas. Also, this is an area of high demand, as we all know. And so looks like they have made an attempt to exclude the majority of the existing mining rights. We do have several other licenses. One is on the north end. If you're looking at that that map provided by Saratoga Springs, there's a parcel labeled number 7 that's looks like it's owned by the state, and that we do have a couple licenses for a explosives manufacturing facility and a storage facility. And then on the southern end, on another state piece, there's an existing permit or a license we have for a gravel operation. So those two are proposed to be included in the rezone. If you recall from our previous exercise last year on West Mountain, there is a provision that was determined by the Attorney General's office that indicates if a mining right is existing on a property, that they have the right to continue that and even expand within that permitted parcel. So anyway, a lot of information there. We did have some representatives come to our meeting, private owners representing some concerns about their parcels being included. And those should be included in your minutes. Planning Commission recommended to not approve the rezone. They felt it was somewhat overreaching and had some other concerns that are listed in their recommendation to you. That's just kind of a real brief summary. Can answer any questions you might have, or kind of let some. I know Saratoga Springs city representatives are here, and I believe there are some from Sitla and others. So.
For me at this point, I wanted to make sure we had the opportunity to hear from the vested parties. So we'll go ahead and open now for public comment on regular agenda item number 3.
Good morning. My name is Tom Faddis, and I work with the mining team at Sitla. I think the gentleman has articulated our position very well. We're not opposed to rezoning. We think the original proposal, frankly, was a big land grab with not much thought put into it. Generally, the zoning area, the parcels to the north is articulated. We like to keep the existing use rights on those, but we're also working with our lessees to relocate some of those uses to other Sitla lands elsewhere in the state. The southern part of the lakeside mountains, we have significant mining operations on it, reputable lessees and permittees that have invested significant amounts of money in infrastructure, including concrete batch plants, crushing, things like that. And they represent a significant part of the mineral portfolio's income for Sitla. So I would recommend that the commission seriously consider the amended version that we've come to basic terms. We realize this is not a simple issue. This is a very dynamic part of the state of Utah.
Mm-hmm.
But we need to be very careful what we do. And I personally thank everybody for the intense efforts they made in moving this issue along.
Thank you.
My name's Dustin Hughley. I have some property leased from Craig Wayman. It's the property a little bit south of the explosives plant. And I actually believe this came to light because of some activity that we had done. We had actually came in and applied to get a gravel operation on his property. The county had some disagreement about whether the sale of his property was done properly or not. And in the meantime, I contacted Saratoga Springs and said, hey, we're going to put a gravel operation in here. How can we be good neighbors? And in turn, they come and try to exclude us from using this property the way that it needs to be. And Mr. Wayman's intention with this property is to use it as gravel, but in order to get it to where it's a point where it will be suitable to be developed at some point. But to be able to go in and blast and do all of that just for a subdivision just isn't economically feasible. And in the meantime, there's nothing to the property. It's too far away from anything. At some point, he intends to develop it. But we believe that his property is one that should be exempted. We obviously have a dispute about whether or not our application was on time. I believe it was, and I would hope to just avoid that. I really think that it should be denied, or if it's not denied, that the property that Mr. Wayman owns and the property he sold to the.
And that's number 10 on our map, is that
And
correct?
I haven't seen the map.
You haven't seen the map? I'm just going off of what
Can I
I
come
see.
up and look?
Yeah, sure.
You betcha.
This is what the city provided,
Correct.
and so there's 10 owned by,
And we'd actually asked that 11 and 9 be included as well, even though 11 and 9 are one parcel. They previously were two parcels, but they're actually one. That's where the dispute comes about, whether or not there is. But our position is that those should be exempted anyway. We're a long ways from any homes, and it basically makes it so this property is unusable. I mean, it robs it of any economic value at this point. At some point, it will be developable, but we've gone to great lengths. We have our permit ready to submit to SITLA, or not SITLA, to DOGM, but we have to have a business license. So we're ready to go. We have the equipment in place. We've already, we have the equipment. We were ready to do this until this came up. And had there not been a dispute about the property, it would already be done. So our request is that you either exempt those pieces of property or that you just deny the rezone. It seems like quite a bit of property and it's needed. I mean, the interesting thing is, look, I don't want a gravel pit next to my house either. I get that, and I don't want your jobs, to be honest with you, but it's needed. The product that we'll be producing is needed there, and we think that it just seems like quite a bit of property to be changing the zone for something that's needed.
Just for the record, it looks like parcel 9 was included on the agreement with SITLA and the city that they put on here. Yeah. As one of them.
And it makes sense that.
Right, just so you're aware of
I
it, that
appreciate
is
it.
one of them that was
Okay.
listed on that negotiation piece. Any additional comment? Okay, I'm not seeing any, so we will go ahead and close the public comment and bring it back to the bench for further discussion. I know for me on these particular type of things, it's never easy, and I am definitely one that likes to be, I guess, negotiable on these and try and protect the rights and meet the requests at the same time. And so I'm happy to, rather than do a blanket one way or the other, try and work through the parcels and exempt out the appropriate parcels. That's my personal feelings.
Yeah, and that's mine too, because the nature of it, I would like to spend some time in one, understanding. I read through all the documentation from the Planning Commission and others and letters, and now we have a new letter.
We got a new letter.
That pops up here, and so to digest and all this information is gonna take more time than just a conversation I think that we have here.
I'd be happy to continue this probably for 2 weeks.
If we could do 3, that would give me, for me, it's
So that would
I'll
put
be
us,
back,
and I'm fine doing this.
a little bit more time to.
Let me just pull up the. So for the continue till the 6th or the 30th?
Yeah, for the 6th, let's see.
6th of November, which is election day, just for the record. Remember to vote.
Yeah, if we could do the 6th, I think that would be better.
Okay, I have no objections to that.
I'll make a motion that we continue this item for further discussion till November 6th.
I'll second. I have a motion and a second to continue regular agenda item number 3 until November 6th. All those in favor, please say aye. Motion will carry 2-0.
I'd like to mention, for those here that have concerns with it, if you'd please get a hold of, and I'm assuming it's probably both of us on this, get a hold of our assistants so we can have some of those conversations.
Absolutely. Okay, next up, we have a look at regular agenda item number 4. This is to approve and authorize execution of a memorandum of understanding between the Sheriff's Office and UTA for evidence storage. Commissioner Lee, I believe you had some questions on this one.
Yes. Let me get to that memorandum. First off, would this be evidence storage for all of UTA or just evidence that comes in Utah County?
Utah County.
That wasn't necessarily specific in here. Second question is, as we're having struggles with having evidence, space for evidence, is this advantageous to us or is it detrimental?
I brought Doug Squires to talk about that.
Basically, the contract is for 120 cases in a year's period. We're handling 120 cases every 2 weeks. So it's the impact is very minimal to what the facility will have. So as far as impact to where we're heading down the road and everything, it's pretty much nil. The items, we've already discussed with UTA that we will not take certain items because of storage issues, and they've agreed to that. The other side of that is the agreement can be broken by either party at any time. So if it runs into an issue, we can go ahead and resolve that issue. So right now it's minimal. If that was to change, we would have to definitely readdress it with them.
And the last, go ahead. Oh, the last question I have, I know you have down here, there was like, there was $3,000 on an annual basis, then there was a certain charge per case. I think that was the wording that you used on it.
And basically, it's a total of $3,000 a year and $25 per case. So it's just $25 a case up to $3,000 is the way it.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yes.
Okay, I misunderstood that. I thought it read in the sense that there was $3,000 on an annual basis for the service, to have that ability, and then there was
I read it the same way you
the
did.
$25 per case in addition to the $3,000.
No, basically it's 25. It was supposed to be $25 per case up to $3,000 is what they felt like was going to be the amount, which it amounts to 120 cases. If we were to go over that, that allows us to charge them the $25 more. But and then the other issue on the contract is the time and a half issue. If they were to use our services on scene,
Right.
That would be additional monies that would be.
So the time and a half, because that was another question was, how have we documented that to cover our costs, or does that just cover our costs, or is there something in there for the services? Is it just wages only and
Just
benefits?
wages only.
What about the
If
overhead
there
and
was
the
any
ability?
additional items, that we would definitely bill them for them, but, normally it's wages. What I foresee, basically, it would be using the Faro to diagram any of their scenes or anything like that. So basically, it's just manpower. So
That seems a little short to me then.
they're willing to pay the time and a half wage, even if we're on our regular time also. So
But the use of our equipment is not accounted in there?
no,
Is there a way that we can get that in there if they use use the equipment? Because it is wear and tear and everything that comes with it.
definitely. No, I think UTA is willing to work with us on whatever we need to do there. Right now, like for their evidence and whatnot, they're having to take to Salt Lake. If they have to go to court, they have to go to Salt Lake and get their evidence and come back to go to court. So, it's definitely a benefit to them to allow us to.
And I think overall it's a benefit to Utah County. Over the past few years, we haven't seen a lot of resources in UTA come to Utah County, and we're starting to see some more resources and manpower come down here. They're starting to generate some cases, and so it helps us with some of the problems we're seeing come to our valley from UTA. It's nice to see them putting resources down here. And then for us to be able to, historically looking at what is going into our evidence room, it will be small items, drug paraphernalia, drugs, things like that. So
Yeah.
we don't see an impact there. I get where you're going with the equipment. For me, if that's what you want to see in it, we can do that. I think.
I just don't want to be subsidizing it. That's it. I want to make sure, and if we cover it in the 3,000 and we have that built into the overhead, I'd just like to see a documentation
We can
on
look at
how
that.
we
I
cover
mean,
it.
For me, being a good partner with all of our entities in the county, whether it's UTA or a city here in the county, I think that there's a lot of value in being that good partner if they need our help to do those things, and we haven't built those prices into those other, helping another entity do things. We would do this for another city, that what we're talking about here with some of this equipment. And we do on a continual basis to help them out.
Just for clarification, the agreement is drafted where there's a base fee of $3,000, and then the per case is in addition to. So there's the 3,000 to cover the base amount.
Okay,
And that's the way I read it too.
yeah, that's how I read it.
That's the way it's drafted.
Is that the way you read it, Court?
And Sheriff, from your department, you feel like that's sufficient? If it's sufficient number, the 3,000?
With historically what the evidence we've seen, yeah, I feel that we're good with the 3,000.
I wrote, Court Griffin, Deputy County Attorney. I wrote, my understanding of the agreement was it was a fee of $3,000 up to a certain number of cases, and if those cases were exceeded, then it was $25 per case. So if they, so it was just a flat fee up to a certain amount of cases, and then after that, it was $25 a case. So, anyway, we wouldn't lose anything, and if.
What was the number of cases?
um,
So it's covered.
Figured 120.
Would that be 3,000 divided by 25?
That's what I'm doing right now, 120 times 25. Yeah.
It does read like what.
Yeah.
Looks like section 1 details that. Section 1 of the agreement talks about that the $3,000 fee would cover up to 120 cases.
Okay.
So that $25 per case, then you figure there's the use of equipment, overhead, and everything built into that $25 per case. Yeah, okay. That's where I'm going with it.
I feel pretty comfortable with that. Most of the work was very minimal on intake and taking that in. The $25 should more than cover overhead and any supplies or anything that they might use.
Okay.
I don't have any problem with that as long as, I mean, because if they were to go out and build their own storage facility, that would be significant cost to them. I get that part of it. I just want to make sure that we're not subsidizing on the other end of it. As good partners, they're being a good partner with us in it too, so we're not subsidizing that direction. But if you feel comfortable that that's covering, then
Yeah,
I'm fine
I
with
totally
it.
feel comfortable with the $25, so.
okay. Okay, those are my questions.
Thank you. Seeing no additional questions, I would entertain a motion.
Oh, the date's wrong though, right? We're gonna change the date.
Yeah, we'll have to change it.
Yeah, okay.
We've been working on it.
Yeah, yeah, right. I know you just put it in there, but we will need to change the date. So I'll make a motion that we approve and authorize the execution of the memorandum of understanding with the correct date in there. Today's date, October 16th, I believe is what it is.
I'll second that, and I have a motion and a second to approve regular agenda item number 4 with the noted date changed to October 16th. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion will carry 2-0. Next, we have regular agenda on number 5. This is to approve or deny the request from Ladue Haskell to add to the Utah County road named 2100 West, the official road name 2100 West, Haskellville Road.
We have had a request from a resident out in the Haskellville area I think you have the letter in your packet that explains why she's requesting that we add Haskellville Road to this particular road, 2100 West. From the Public Works side of it, we have no objection to that. What we would do is would change the signs out to where they would read 2100 West Haskellville Road. So you still have the coordinate there.
Okay.
We don't want to have we like having the coordinate there for EMS side of things. It makes it easier to figure out where you're at in the world.
That helps me quite a bit because I like our grid system. I think that it makes sense for us to getting around.
Yep.
I was
We'd
concerned
actually have
about
both-
just
both
having
names on the
the name
signs.
on there. I've been in areas where you have names on there and you can't find anything.
Everybody knows where Haskellville is. So.
Yeah. But if we have both, and as from my understanding is that the family is willing to raise the money to change
Yeah,
the signs.
it would be about $150 or about $50 a sign. So.
Okay, I just saw that in there, note.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, seeing no additional questions, is there any comment on this one? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the request as stated in number 5 on our regular agenda.
I'll second that. All those in favor of approving regular agenda item number 5, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion will carry 2-0. All right. And we've got number 7 now, right? This is to adopt a resolution to dispose of a significant parcel of real property. This was related to our public hearing held earlier in this meeting. Any additional questions on this?
Nope.
Seeing none, I will, Robert?
Robert Moore, County Attorney's Office. So Richard and I have talked about this a little bit. We've had 2 interested parties reach out to Richard Nielsen about this. My suggestion is maybe that you declare it surplus, and then maybe for the next 30 days, we kind of see who we get to come in. Richard can notify those 2 parties, and if we have others that come in, and then we can see what kind of offers we get in the next 30 days and look at it.
Sounds great. Okay, I'll go ahead and consider a motion.
I'll make a motion that we adopt the resolution as stated number 7 on our regular agenda to dispose significant parcels, real property in the county of 6.42 acres.
I will second that motion. I have a motion and a second to adopt regular agenda item number 7. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion will carry 2-0. We will now look to setting our closed meetings. We do not need 13, but we will need 12, 14, and 15.
I'll make a motion that we approve and set a date, time, location for a closed meeting for a strategy session to discuss the purchase, exchange, or lease of real property, water rights, or water shares at today's date at this location following the completion of our regular agenda.
Second, I have a motion and a second to approve regular agenda item number 12. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion will carry 2-0.
Make a motion that we approve and set a date, time, and location for a closed meeting to discuss the character, professional competence, or physical or mental health of an individual or individuals at today's date at this location following the completion of our regular agenda.
Second, I have a motion and a second to approve regular agenda item number 14.
All in favor?
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Make a motion
Carries
that we
2-0.
make a motion that we approve and set a date, time, and location for a closed meeting for a strategy session to discuss the pending or reasonable imminent litigation at today's date at this location following the completion of our regular agenda.
Second, I have a motion and a second to approve regular agenda item number 15. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye?
Aye. Motion will carry 2-0. Did we strike 13 officially?
Oh, I did not,
Right,
I'll
that
make-
was
so
on-
yeah, that was on your
That
mind.
was, when I forgot to vote on the last one, I was thinking in my head, did we get rid of 13 officially?
I'll make a motion that we strike number 13 from our agenda.
Second, I have a motion and a second to strike regular agenda item number 13. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye?
Aye. Motion will carry 2-0. All right, we'll now move into our work sessions. First up is a presentation from the Utah County Health Department on their annual report. Ralph.
Thank you, Commissioners. Ralph Clegg with the Health Department. I don't know if you have your copy of your annual report? Or
I didn't bring it down with me.
Okay. I'll just give you another copy.
Thank you.
If we can get all the technology to work, we'll do it a little different this year than give you something else to look at, I guess, rather than just me. And as I try to highlight a few things, but typically we're a little later than we normally would be for our annual report, mostly because it involves a lot of financial stuff, and you know we got behind with some of the financial stuff due to the new human resources system. But we're getting all caught up now, and as required by Title 26A, we present the annual report to the Commission each year. We also are required to send that out to the cities, which we will be doing here in the near future as well. Also required by the minimum performance standards under state rules. So to meet all those things, we're here today. Do you see this on the screen as I go through it? Is that what happens? Okay.
No.
I've got.
Mine's not up.
Monitor.
Oh, it was. Blue light's on. Not yet. It says no signal. Then just turned off. It was on earlier.
The wonders of technology. What I saw Jared and Les do down here earlier, I don't think I could do in 100 years, but it's...
I wonder if it's gotten bumped underneath and unplugged or something. Is it saying no signal?
No signal.
Sorry, would you mind?
I'll just turn around. I'll just turn around and watch.
Okay, it's great when it works. Challenging when it doesn't. One of our major activities this past year was our community health assessment, as we go out in a random fashion, cover all the county to get citizens' feedback on what they view as some of the major public health issues that we have in the county, and we try to focus on those then in our strategic planning as a health department. The ones that came out this year from that very intensive process are chronic disease, and that usually is tied to diabetes largely, but also to blood pressure. Drug addiction is another concern of our citizens, air quality, and mental health services. Along with the old, we have some new things. Just to highlight something that was kind of new to us this last year, it's called soul disease. Soul disease is a disease that's transmissible from rats to humans. It's like a hantavirus type of disease. And there was a kind of a nationwide problem with soul disease this past year. And it tied back to some of the Utah County ratteries as well. Now, you may ask, what's a rattery? A rattery is a business that raises rats to be sold, either for pets or for food for falcons and things that people may have. Often these rats are in very close contact with humans, as pets particularly, and so that disease is easily transmitted to humans at times. And typically what happens is, almost all wild rats have soul disease. It's kind of endemic in the rat population. And so when a rattery blends a tame rat, I'll use to put that in quote, tame rat, with a wild rat, which happens at times, that disease usually is transmitted in the offspring from that rat, and then those rats are sold throughout the country as pets. And so, very, very dedicated people to what they're doing, but we did work alongside with CDC to try to get that outbreak contained. But the rats do go throughout the country, and part of the problem was in one of our ratteries here in Utah County. Along with that, we have the old. This is kind of a picture, maybe you've seen it before. It's almost, we're not getting the sound, but I put sound to the twilight zone on this. You can see the algae bloom coming into this particular harbor. This is over, this is time lapse, but over 4 hours. You can see that some of the matting is already building up against the shore as that comes in. And it's the matting where often some of the toxins are released by the harmful algae blooms or cyanobacteria. The thing that we're often asked is, well, where is it safe to recreate on the lake? As people have a desire to use the lake as a great resource. And you can see it's hard for us to say where it's safe, because you can see how this can move and grow. You're trying to get the sound on? Yeah, okay, all right. And so, that's one of the things we continue to deal with here in the county. We can just move on. The leading causes of death in Utah County: heart disease continues to be the leading cause of death in the county, followed by cancers. You see unintentional injuries comes next, chronic lung diseases, Alzheimer's disease it continues to move up the chart as we learn more about that and the devastation that disease can cause. It wasn't too many years ago, stroke would have been number 3 on this list, but there's been some educational efforts I think have helped save a lot of people from dying from stroke, and you can see that some of the other things have moved up on the list. You can see that along with kidney disease, suicide is still a concern for us. Diabetes is a major, even though diabetes is often a secondary problem, particularly with heart disease, pneumonia, and Parkinson's disease. Now, here's some quotes from our home visitation program. Our home visitation program is where we're visiting homes, high-risk homes, with usually often teenage mothers or those who are using substances that they should not be used. You can see that first one: my family and my nurse are what are keeping me from drinking and helping me to set goals and keep goals. So, it's really important during pregnancy that a woman not consume, particularly in excess alcohol, because of alcohol. The alcohol syndrome that can come out in the baby often results in a baby that is much smaller than they should be, and so we try to work with these high-risk folks, our high-risk citizens and moms, to try to make sure that they have the healthiest baby possible and that they know how to care for the baby after that. You can see that bottom quote: one mom's anxiety level was dramatically reduced after being reassured that what her premature baby was doing was normal. And this is one of the things we do that helps with intergenerational poverty, to try to get people out of that cycle if we can. Public information, we've been utilizing social media more and more as the coming generation uses that more and more. But we still reach millions through news coverage, social media impressions. We did have algal bloom video was accepted and featured at the American Public Health Association Global Public Health Film Festival. And we had over 120 media interviews this last year. One of the major uses of county dollars is the mosquito abatement department. And you can see how much work they're doing as the county continues to grow and there's more catch basins. The catch basins for storm sewers can be a major source of mosquito growth as it holds some of the water there. And they go out on bikes to try to treat those. Fortunately, we're able to do a lot of our own testing for West Nile virus, and that saves the county about $15,000 over what we'd have to pay a lab to do that with the equipment we have, and then we get the results in a day instead of having a week, and so we can get out to treat areas if they have West Nile virus in that area sooner to try to protect our citizens. To continue to educate the citizens, this last year we did not have any positive West Nile virus mosquito pools in Utah County, all the ones that we tested. The problem seemed to be more north of us this past year.
Out of curiosity, Ralph?
Yeah.
It mentions there that you identified what species mosquitoes are feeding on. Like, what's the #1 food source for mosquitoes? I'm just curious.
Well, it depends on where the mosquito is.
Okay.
But, you know, a lot of mosquitoes will feed on birds. A lot of mosquitoes will feed on horses or cattle, and of course humans. Yeah, we worked with UVU to try to identify, you know, what by the DNA from the blood they ingest, what the mosquitoes are feeding on. But those are very common things. And birds are a reservoir for West Nile virus, and so. Our Household Hazardous Waste Collection Day event, a very popular thing. You can see it takes a lot of work, a lot of coordination, 188 volunteers, about 1,800 vehicles served. And you see some of the things that we brought in to keep out of our landfills. And we also coordinate with substance abuse and law enforcement to take back any medicines that people would like to get rid of, prescription drugs. And each year we get, you know, near a half ton or more of medicines with just this one event. So, and let's try to see. Showing up on the computer, but not on the. This link was just going out that shows a bird's eye view of the activities. It almost looks like a bunch of ants running around, trying to get vehicles unloaded and take care of those products that are being brought into that Household Hazardous Waste Day. I don't know, Les, if you can get that up. Like I say, technology is great when it works. Oh, here we go. You want to push that start button? course, Provo Town Center's been a very good partner with all that. You can see there's a lot of coordination and work that goes on to catalog that waste, get it in the proper containers for disposal. We also have great cooperation with our solid waste districts in this process, along with the universities to help us with the volunteers. Back to the slideshow. Next, just a slide on our senior programs. Senior Companions, helped 330 frail elderly residents remain in their homes by getting those folks out to medical appointments, grocery store, pick up medicines, those kinds of things, and being a friend. Foster Grandparents does a great job with in the schools with the children who need extra help for reading. The school teacher often can't get to, and they do a great job. And a total of about $2 million worth of time that's been donated to Utah County and our residents. Just WIC, the big news in WIC, WIC is the most important nutrition program in the first 1,000 days of a baby's life. In fact, it's now thought that 1 out of every 2 infants born in the United States utilizes the WIC program, at least to start, or on a prenatal basis. Of course, one of the major things we do in WIC is to promote breastfeeding. 92% of the Utah County WIC clients, their mothers do participate in breastfeeding, which is higher than the state average and much, much higher than the national average. And you can see our staff there at the county fair providing the breastfeeding rest stop, which has been very helpful for many young mothers to be able to stop in and in an air-conditioned environment care for the needs of their infants. Top performing social media posts. We've appreciated the county commission helping with that. Commissioner Ivey on West Nile virus and taking care of making sure we're public health, which generally is pointed toward people, but horses can be a reservoir for West Nile virus, and there is a vaccine for horses that we encourage people to take advantage of to protect their horses. So, and I don't know who that word guy is on the right there. That's our report. Just kind of a summary of a lot of information. Do you have any questions, commissioners, I can address with you?
Well done. Great job.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for all your efforts.
You're up.
You're up. Sorry.
Morning, Commissioners. Jeff Buman, County Attorney. I want to introduce Lily Ramirez. Last year, when you funded an additional position for our victim coordinators, Lily was hired, and she is working on the VOCA grant, and this is her first time presenting. We were fortunate enough to have her well-trained from Mr. Higley, thank you, his staff trained her, so she's a wonderful addition to our office, and she has our annual report.
Good morning. Like Jeff said, I'm the newest addition to the Victim Coordinator Program at the Attorney's Office. I was doing the quarterly report just last week, and I'm pleased to say that we've exceeded all of our goals for the quarter. In some categories, we've doubled our numbers in victim assistance, whether it's in victim meetings or assisting them through the court process. We have reached out to a lot of Spanish-speaking victims that we weren't able to as much before because I am Spanish-speaking, so we're able to reach out to those victims, and they're being more open and coming to the court process and stuff because they feel more comfortable. So I don't know if you have any questions. Sorry, I'm really nervous.
So a question for you.
Okay.
When I ask this every year, trends, are the trends going up? Are they going down? Are we seeing more people because we're more organized, or what's the trends look like?
I think we're seeing more people as far as victim services because we are more, I want to say, invested in reaching out to the victims. And community awareness, I think, is very important. And we have a lot of great community outreach programs in the community right now that are being more vocal about victim advocacy. And we work together like a streamlined process with other agencies like police departments and stuff. So we kind of team tag and try to reach out to more victims.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for the work you do. I know I mean, I don't think I could do it, but thank you for being willing to do so.
Yeah, I love it, so thank you.
You mentioned that you had met or exceeded all of your goals. Why do you think that happened?
I think it happened because we have more, we have another position. We're able to reach out, like I said, to more victims as far as initial contact and stuff because we do have the manpower now. And I feel like we're more organized, like you say, and I feel like also because, like I said, we're reaching out more to the Spanish speaking community, whereas before we were a little limited in that area. So I feel like that's why we're able to exceed our goals now because we're reaching out to those communities.
Perfect, thank you.
I think I can answer part of that, and a lot of it has increased because previously we had categories of hearings and cases. We just didn't have the resources to engage those victims. And if we did engage them, it was very minimal emails and letters. And with Lily on board, we have more resources to interact with more victims and more types of cases. I mean, we're still not where we want to be, but it's better than it was before. Also, unfortunately, our caseload has gone up, so that has also driven the increase in the numbers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, that brings to a close our work sessions. We would now open for any general public comment. Seeing none, we will close our general public comment and move into our closed sessions. Thank you for your participation today.